We continue learning Kitzur Yomi. We're concluding Simin Perek Yud Beis, the Perek all about preparing yourselves for Davin. We're up to Sif Yud Aleph teaches the Kitzur mitzvah larutz. It's a mitzvah to run. Kishalich lebeis haKnesset beis haMedrash. When you get to beis haKnesset beis haMedrash, oil lishar mitzvah shene'amar near dava. You should run ladas es Hashem. And No 44 points out from the Mishnah Berurah and Simin Sadi that if you have to run to get to Shul, certainly you shouldn't be draying, hanging out, and casually strolling in to daven. Says the Kitzur, Uksiv, the Possuk says, Derech mitzvah yisecha arutz, I run in the way of your mitzvah sulchin, and therefore afilu b'Shabbos, which you're not allowed to run. Motor larutz l'dvar mitzvah. Aval b'toich beis haKnesset, b'toich beis haMedrash, of course. Aser larutz. When you come in front of the door of a shul, yishemat, you pause for a moment. You don't want to just barge into shul. You pause and you pull back. And you're afraid, how am I walking into the house of HaKadosh Baruch Hu? And what do you do at that moment when you're cognizant that you're walking into the Beis HaKnesses? Possuk, there's a Possuk that one is supposed to say, it's as if you're saying to the Kadosh Baruch Hu, can I come in? Will you allow me to come in? And then you walk in, on fear subservient, as if you're going to see the king. Bechilas in communities, when streets, when Yidden live by themselves, you should put in your towels and tefillin at home. But if you live amongst the Goyim, it's not so clean. Then you put it on in shul, but not in the shul itself, and a separate room. Inyan gadol, which of course we know that inyan gadol doesn't mean it's a chiyuv, but we see certainly if it's possible, the appropriate thing is to put in your talis and tefillin. The best would be, and you see this in Yerushalayim often, Yidden walking through the streets with the talis and tefillin. But if that's not shayach, live amongst the goyim, then what? And an outside room of the shul and walk into the Beis HaKnesses with your talis and tefillin. See if you if you can't go to shul, for some reason, says the Kitzur, you can't get to shul to daven. Make an effort to gather 10 men. If that's not possible, but we should just listen to the words of the Kitzur, that when he says to gather 10 people in a house is only if what? It's impossible. It's an oinus, he says, that he can't get to shul. Note 46 points out that maybe it's going to be a financial loss. Maybe one has a physical conference that he can't get to shul. But that's the only time. And if not, you daven at the time that the shul is davening, which is an eis ratzin. And therefore, we should dar b'makom shein shaminyin yisval b'shashasim yisval ba'yara. It's the same time that the davening. However, im sarach lelmoid elasik melachta and a you have to do some work. V'nisar leel simin chas also laschil koyde b'tfil. You can't do that before you work. Al kein yoch lahaktim atzmai. L'sal will take if kshanitz achamo when the sun rises. Well, let's point out that there are shitas of Chaim Kanievsky, for example, holds that if you can't daven with a minyan, davening with nates is always optimal. Chaim Paskins that even if you could daven with a minyan, you're allowed to daven b'yechidas and daven nates. So this is always a good eitzah of someone that doesn't have the availability of a minyan. Davening nates would certainly be the optimal. You can't wait to eat. As we've seen, you're not allowed to eat before you daven. So you're weak and you need to eat something. So what do? Then daven at home, eat right away. Only in your house. If you come to shul, there's people davening. It's a bizayin, says Mishnah Berurah. They're davening and you're davening Quaker on your own. You can't do that. Va'afilu im hu roitz lotzi zechutz lebeis hakenes. You want to go outside of the shul, spalin kodem atzibur. Aser elam kin roy, unless he sees shatzibur misacham nespalel. If you see that tzibur is going to miss a zman, okay, fine. Then he's spalel b'fnei atzma. K'tei shel yaver azman. Chenim uchayla, if you're sick, or yishesh le'oines achar, another oines, then motel actim tvilasa, afilu beis hakenes. It would be better to go home and daven. So we see how strong the halacha is not to eat before you daven. That what should you do if you don't have a possibility? What you should do is daven biyachidos, and then you can eat. And then, but let's remind ourselves, the kids already taught us. And what would you do afterwards? Then afterwards, you would go to shul and then be part of the tzibur. Yeshayim sif yedalish, shemsal tzibur beis hakeneses. There's another minyan in Lashich Sever Sheni Lam Rokesh Amar Arishain. Shouldn't stand in the same place. What are you doing? It sounds like the first people didn't know what to do. They didn't daven. Now you're davening. You can't do that. Imloi. Everyone's wondering. Wait, we have so many minyanim. Says the kids. Imloshik for Yatsu Rishanim Beis Knesset. They already left. Rishanim Yotzia Sefer Torah V'Karabai in Lachronim Yotzia Sheni Sefer Torah L'Krosa Yosek Knesset. But, says the Kitzur, nowadays is what we follow. And especially if there are 7 minyanim and people know about it, and there's no chashash, they're going to think that the earlier minyan didn't daven. That's, of course, what we do. You can force each other. Live nice, beis hakeneses or beis hamedrash. You can force someone, even in No 52 says, even a minority can force the majority. We need to have a shul. You have to give money for it. We need to have svarim. You need to buy them. If there's no minyan, then what? You can ask each other. To come to Avish. So we don't, so not to be mevatel, the constant tefillah. If someone's learning Torah, even that, we force them to come to daven. Of course, this is only in a world that we could force people with knesses. Nowadays, it might not be so simple, but at least it brings up the chaymer adavar and the critical importance of both minyan and of the Beis HaKnesses. And with that, we go straight into Siman Yud Gimel, which is the halachas of the Beis HaKnesses. Says the Kitzur Kedusha's Beis HaKnesses Beis HaMedrash Kedayla Me'oi. The Kedusha is very high. Umusarna Aleim, and we're cautioned Leroy Mimishu Shachin Behem Yisparach Shemai. We have to treat our shuls. We have to treat the Beis Medrash with reverence, like HaKadosh Baruch Hu K'dichsev O Mikdashi Tirau. Beis HaKnesses Beis HaMedrash Nikraim Gam Ke Mikdash, are called the Beis HaMikdash. K'dichsev Yecheskel teaches us the Navi Avilem the Mikdash Ma'at. And therefore, because we have to have a high level of reverence, because we have to treat the Beis HaKnesses K'doyle Me'oid, also L'daber Dvarim B'Teilim. Now, just be careful. The Kitzur is not even talking about during davening. He's saying, "Stam in the building, you can't talk Dvarim B'Teilim. Ve'imachashel cheshbonais. You can't do calculations in the building. Elishal mitzvah." You want to honor the shul, you want to sprinkle water to get rid of the dust, you want to clean it, and we light candles in the shul. This is where it comes from, as note 7 points out from the Mishnah Brura, that we put candles, the first person who comes to daven. Ein lenashik ben banav kitanim, you should not kiss your children in shul. Shein royal harisham avas acheres zulas avas Hashem yisbarach shemai. Aside for the Ava of Hashem, so you should not kiss your kids. We'll just point out that there are those who learn that the din of not kissing your kids in shul is not a din of Beis HaKnesses, like the Kitzur holds, but rather a din in tefillah. They bring in from the Mishnah Brura, and therefore there are those who are mekel to yes kiss the kids, not during davening in the shul. The Kitzur is machmir. We see the incredible kedusha Beis HaKnesses. Pick it up from here, b'siyata d'ishmaya.